A deep, quiet room on a massive starship. Two men stand across from each other, their eyes sharp, their minds even sharper. One is a leader who believes in peace, in talking before fighting. He has stopped wars with just his words. The other is a master of battle, a man who studies every little detail, knowing exactly how to win before the fight even begins. Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Grand Admiral Thrawn. This is part 2 of our Picard versus Thrawn special. If you missed part 1, make sure to check it out after this. In that video, we talked about what it might be like if Captain Picard from Star Trek and Grand Admiral Thrawn from Star Wars ever met. We explored who they are, how they think, and what might happen if they started off with a conversation. But this time, things are different. In this video, we're diving into the fight. We're going deep into what would happen if these two geniuses actually went to war. And trust me, it wouldn't be just phasers and blasters flying. This battle would be all about strategy, trickery, and the mind games between two of the smartest men in science fiction. Let's set the stage. Picture this. The rift between universes has gotten worse. Something causes the peace talks to fail. Maybe a misunderstanding. Maybe Thrawn decides he can't trust Picard. Or maybe Picard learns Thrawn is using him. Either way, the alliance is broken. Now it's a full-on battle between the Empire and the Federation. Right away, both Picard and Thrawn know that this can't be a simple war. They're too smart for that. They know they can't just charge at each other. It has to be a game of moves and counter moves. Every decision has to be perfect. Let's talk about how they would prepare. Picard would go back to the Enterprise, gather his senior officers, and start forming a plan. He wouldn't want to fight, but he'd know that this time there's no other choice. He'd ask Data to study Thrawn. He'd have Worf get the ship ready for battle, and he'd tell Riker to expect the unexpected. Picard knows Thrawn is dangerous. He knows Thrawn doesn't make mistakes, so he'd have to stay 3 steps ahead just to stay even. Now, over on Thrawn's side, he's already been preparing. He's already studied the Enterprise. He's listened to every transmission, read every movement, and even looked at Starfleet uniforms and ship designs to understand how they think. That's what Thrawn does. He studies his enemies like they're puzzles. And then, once he understands them, he crushes them. But here's where it gets interesting. Thrawn might think Picard is easy to beat. He might see Picard's kindness and his morals as weakness. That would be his first mistake. Picard isn't soft, he's smart. And when pushed, he can be as tough as anyone. He's just careful with his power. So how would the first move go? Let's say Thrawn sends a smaller ship to make it look like he's retreating. Picard sees this and starts to wonder, is this a trick? He asks Data to scan the ship. Everything seems normal, but something feels off. Picard trusts his instincts, and instead of following, he waits. That was the right move. Because Thrawn's ship was a decoy. Waiting nearby, Thrawn had placed a small fleet hidden behind a nearby asteroid field. If Picard had followed, he would have walked right into a trap. Picard avoids the trap, but just barely. Now it's Picard's turn. He uses the holodeck to create a fake version of the Enterprise. He places it out in open space to draw Thrawn's attention. It looks real from a distance. Even some basic scans pick it up as real. Thrawn, curious, sends in scouts. But he's cautious. He knows Picard is clever. The trick works partially. Thrawn doesn't fall for the whole thing, but he wastes time checking the hologram while the real Enterprise sneaks around behind his fleet and disables one of his key communication satellites. This may seem like a small win, but for Thrawn, even one piece of the puzzle missing can make things harder, and this is how the battle goes. Not giant explosions or big space fights, though there are a few of those, but more like a chess game. Every move Picard makes, Thrawn studies. Every attack Thrawn tries, Picard counters. Sometimes Picard wins a round, sometimes Thrawn does. But both sides are always thinking. Here's another moment. Thrawn sends a message to Picard, a simple message. Just one sentence. You don't have to lose. It sounds like a trick, but Picard listens anyway. He wonders, is Thrawn trying to negotiate? Is this another trap, or is it something else? This is what makes the battle so good. It's not just ships and weapons. It's a battle of ideas. Picard believes in trust. Thrawn believes in control. Picard wants peace. Thrawn wants victory. Now, let's talk about the crews. Picard has the Enterprise crew, loyal, brilliant, and creative. Data is analyzing patterns. Worf is managing shields and security. Troy is reading the emotional tones of incoming transmissions, giving Picard a sense of when Thrawn is bluffing. Even Geordi is using the warp core in new ways to give them tiny advantages in speed and power. Thrawn has his officers too. They're disciplined, sharp, and trained for war. But they follow orders, they don't question. Thrawn is the brain, they are the hands. That's one of the small ways Picard might have an edge. His crew thinks, they come up with ideas, they adapt. At one point, Data suggests something wild. What if they fake a warp core breach to make it look like the Enterprise is going to explode? Picard hesitates. It's risky, but then he sees how it could work. They do it. They fake the breach. Thrawn sees it on sensors. He pauses. He can't be sure if it's real. If he gets too close, he could lose a ship. That moment of hesitation gives Picard time to slip away, reposition, and land a surprise hit on Thrawn's main ship from behind. It's not a victory, but it's a huge blow. Still, Thrawn learns. He adapts too. He starts sending false signals of his own. He makes it look like one of his ships is damaged when it's not. Picard almost takes the bait but stops himself just in time. That's the kind of back and forth this war becomes. Trick after trick, bluff after bluff. Each man is testing the other, learning, adapting. It goes on for days. Not because either side is weak, but because they're too strong, too careful, too smart. Neither wants to make the first big mistake. Then comes the turning point. Thrawn captures a small Federation shuttle. On board, he finds logs that talk about how much Picard values peace, how much he hates war. Thrawn uses this. He sends a message to Picard offering a ceasefire just long enough for both sides to regroup. It sounds like a trap, but Picard knows that if there's a chance to stop the fighting, he has to try. He agrees, but secretly he has a plan. While Thrawn is slowing things down, Picard uses that time to bring in a second ship, one Thrawn doesn't know about. A stealth ship with advanced cloaking. It hides near Thrawn's command ship, and when the time is right, it strikes. Not to destroy, but to disable. Thrawn's ship loses power for just a moment, but that moment is enough. Picard opens a channel. Enough games, he says, and for the first time, Thrawn sees that Picard isn't just a man of peace. He's a man of strength. He's someone who chooses peace, not because he has to, but because he believes in it, even when he has the power to win. Thrawn sits in silence for a moment. He sees that he's met someone truly rare, someone who fights not to win but to protect, and maybe, just maybe, He respects that this isn't the end of the war, but it's a turning point, and that's where we leave it for now. If you made it this far, thanks for staying with us through this incredible what if battle. And if you haven't seen part 1, now's the perfect time to check it out. It dives deep into the first meeting between these two legends. You'll want the full story. Let us know in the comments. Who do you think came out on top in this mind game? Would Thrawn regroup and come back stronger? Or has Picard finally earned a moment of peace? Either way, this isn't a fight about lasers and ships. This is a fight about what kind of leader wins in the end. The one who controls through fear, or the one who leads with hope. And that's a battle we'll be thinking about for a long time.